Hello again, everyone. I'm Bill Hammond, and I actually paid to see this. And welcome once more to the 2023 Oscar Blitz, where I break down every nominee in every category for the 95th Academy Awards. Be sure to subscribe both here and to my blog, actuallypaid.com, to keep up with this year's marathon in both print and video form. Today's category is International Feature, celebrating unique achievements in film from all over the world. Sadly, though, there isn't much suspense in this year's field, as the fact that one nominee is up in 8 other categories pretty much tells you how this one's going to turn out. But does it deserve its presumed victory? Let's take a look at the nominees to find out. All Quiet on the Western Front, Germany, directed by Edward Berger. When it was announced that Germany would be making their own adaptation of Erich Maria Remarque's iconic novel about the dehumanizing effect of war, I was super stoked. Normally I hate remakes, especially those of previous Best Picture winners, but in this case I was more than happy to make an exception, as the Oscar winner from the 1930s was an American production, whereas this would hopefully be a more natural look from filmmakers within the author's native land. And for what it's worth, this is a really good war movie. But as an adaptation of the novel, it falls woefully short. The whole point of the book was illustrating how slowly and deliberately the conditions of trench warfare stripped our protagonist, Paul, of anything that made him a person. This film basically skips all of that. It maintains a generic anti-war message, but the impact is lost because we never spend enough time with Paul or his comrades in arms. Instead of an odyssey through years of combat, we basically jump from his first taste of battle to the final days of the war, where politicians and generals far away from the action cavalierly play palace intrigue while thousands die by the day, all in service of an ending that's meant to feel ironic, but we see it coming from a mile away, even for viewers who don't already know the story. This makes for an entertaining war movie, certainly, one done in a much more Hollywood-friendly style than most foreign films would, but it also renders the final product as disappointingly generic. War is hell, we get it. Somehow this film leads the BAFTAs with 14 nominations and is tied for second at the Oscars without delivering any of the novel's insight. It's a good movie, but far from great. Argentina 1985, Argentina, directed by Santiago Mitre. The first international entry I saw last year makes it all the way to the finish line, and it's hard to argue against its quality and importance. Also taking a more mainstream approach than we usually see from contenders in this category, Santiago Mitre delivers a compelling courtroom drama centered around the trial of the juntas, a massive prosecution of Argentina's military dictatorship once they were overthrown and a new democratic government put in its place. Led by incredibly strong performances from Ricardo Darín and Peter Lanzani, the film echoes the likes of Spotlight in how committed it is to detailing the yeoman's work that went into compiling this historic case, with particular emphasis on the use of young law students who grew up in the midst of this transition to convince witnesses to the atrocities to testify. This is an especially poignant film in the current age, as fascism is once again on the rise and authoritarian influences seek to curtail or even destroy democracy, even within our own borders. This movie serves as a clarion call to the entire world to hold those who would topple self-rule to account, while also acknowledging the growing pains of newly free societies in dealing with entrenched corruption, even those that at the highest levels would ostensibly do wrong for the right reasons. Close, Belgium, directed by Lucas Dont. Close is a movie that will grab you by the heart and never let go. An illustration of just how easily and subtly people can grow apart, the film shows the loss of youthful innocence with deft and devastating precision. Giving some of the best performances by young actors of the whole year, Aidan Dambreen and Gustave Dewali star as Leo and Remy, basking in their summer adventures before going off to a new school. Once there, however, the rather insular duo gets a shocking lesson in perception as their new classmates assume they're a couple. For Leo, this interpretation of his friendship troubles him, to the point that he begins pushing Remy away. There's a lovely bit of nuance as we see how both boys handle the issue, as neither is inherently wrong in their feelings or their approach to the situation. However, when the pressure of the moment leads to extreme consequences, Dont is able to transform the story into an incredible exploration of grief, empathy, and remorse that almost no one could anticipate. It's one of the most heartbreaking films I've seen in recent years, but I was grateful for the experience. EO, Poland, directed by Jerzy Skolimowski. Sometimes the best stories are the simplest ones, and this odyssey about the travels and travails of a circus donkey is a prime example. The drama that exists along the periphery of Eo's journey across Europe is clever, insightful, and altogether human, highlighting the best and worst of what our species has to offer when it comes to some of the more vulnerable creatures in the world. Throughout the immaculately filmed trek, our little protagonist vicariously experiences the entire spectrum of emotion and behavior, be it love, humor, passion, violence, or most crucially, apathy. Filtering the breadth of the human condition through the eyes of a beast of burden is not only intriguing, but incredibly profound. The Quiet Girl, Ireland, directed by Colm Byrne. Speaking of the human condition, Ireland's entry is touching in the extreme because of how intimate and tender it is as it explores the extremes of familial love. Young Catherine Clinch shoulders an incredible emotional responsibility as Kate, one of many neglected siblings in a rural family with more children than they can handle. When she's sent to live with distant cousins for the summer, she learns for the first time what it truly means to be loved and cared for, contrasted with the nonchalant approach of her birth parents. Just like with Close, there's an amazing degree of empathy involved, with Byrne taking a very careful, non-judgmental angle with the material, because he knows that for many children, this is just the way life is, and the best of us have to learn to cope, especially when we see an alternative version of what could be. This is a wonderfully thoughtful and endearing project, and I absolutely dare you to not get choked up when Kate calls to the person she really considers to be her daddy. So, with all that in mind, here are my rankings for this year's slate. In 5th place for me, despite the fact that it's probably going to win, is All Quiet on the Western Front. In 4th place, I have Argentina 1985. In 3rd is The Quiet Girl. 2nd place goes to EO, and if I had a vote, I'd give it to my 1st place film, Close. It truly is a testament to the quality of all the films in this year's field that the presumptive winner is dead last from my point of view, and it really is a movie that I truly did enjoy. It's just that good sometimes. That does it for International Feature. But wait, there's more! See, every year there are dozens of submissions in this category, and for 2022, a total of 92 countries entered an eligible film. Back in December, the Academy narrowed the field down to a short list of 15 semi-finalists. I try to see as many of them as I possibly can, and for the 2nd straight year, I managed to clear the entire shortlist. So how do these nominees stack up against the 10 contenders who didn't make it to the final cut? To find out, you'll have to head over to the blog, actuallypaid.com. It's what we call a teaser, folks. Also, you should just make sure to subscribe to keep up with all 23 categories in this year's Blitz, where you can also vote on my online polls and let your opinion be heard. And of course, as always, let me know your thoughts on this particular category in the comments section below. Until next time, I'm Bill Hammond. I actually paid to see this.